In my last Five Below video, I picked up this rug. I had no idea what I was gonna do with it. It has actually been sitting in my office for a while and I've been thinking, okay, what do I wanna do with this? So I had this idea that maybe I should try to make it into a like wall art piece. So I grabbed one of those plastic trays from Dollar Tree for this project. I cut out my rug so that it just hung over the edges of this tray about 2 inches. I placed some Mod Podge on the bottom of my tray. Then I put the rug in place. Then I was noticing that the Mod Podge wasn't holding it in place, so I came back in and added in some hot glue as well. To finish off the edges, I cut off any excess and then I turned it to the backside and hot glued it in place. Now, after I hot glued, I noticed that some of the rug was coming up. So I just took a plate and put it down on top of that with a weight to hold it in place until it had a chance to completely dry with the Mod Podge. And I styled it on my dresser with a few other items and I just think it looks awesome. I wanted to make some candle stands, and when I was going out in my garage, you guys know I have a lot of random things in my garage, I found this long piece of wood that I thought, you know what, these would make perfect candle stands. So I cut them into 2 pieces, so I had 2 pieces for my candle stands, and they were a little rough from where I cut them, so I just started by sanding them down. Next, I went to Dollar Tree and bought a 4-pack of these little plastic plates that they have. I'm gonna use 2 plates for this project. I spray painted the back and front of these plates with 1 coat of a gold metallic paint. Next, I'm gonna stain those wood blocks. I wanted them to be really dark, like almost like black. So I grabbed the darkest stain that I could find in my collection. To stain, I always wear gloves because it can get really messy. And I'm gonna use my foam brush and paint on 1 layer of the stain. Then I'll immediately take a paper towel and just wipe off any excess. I'm gonna do this to all 4 sides. Next, I'm gonna hot glue the gold plates onto the top of my candle stands. And I'm gonna style these with some candles that I already had on hand. And here's how my candle stands turned out. So this next DIY I did was kind of interesting because part of it failed and part of it looked really great. So I'm gonna show you how I did it, and I know what I should have done to make it better. So I'll let you know that so that you don't make the same mistake that I did. So I've noticed on high-end sites, they have a lot of sculptural style pieces, and I wanted to try to create one of my own. So you're going to need some sort of base. I'm gonna start with those wood slices, and I'm gonna put some wood filler in those wood slices because there was a little hole in there and I wanted to make sure that I covered that up. So I'm also going to be using dowel rods for this project. I'm going to cut the dowel rods to the size that I want to use. The other things I'm going to be using are floral wire from Dollar Tree, and I'm also going to be using the wood beads I use in all of my projects. Now I'm going to start by shaping my wire into kind of like a horseshoe shape, maybe a little bit more curved, like almost a circle that's not closed at the top. And one of the circles I'm actually going to make larger than the other. And I'm gonna start stringing the beads onto my wire. So here's where I made my first mistake. With my larger circle, I should have used 2 or 3 wires because the wire I used was not strong enough in the end to hold up this one. Now my smaller one, it held up just fine. I didn't have any problems, but I did have problems with the larger one kind of toppling over. So right here, I would have put in some more wires with this one. So I strung all my beads on. Once I got to the top, I used hot glue at the top of the bead to hold all the beads in place. Next, I'm gonna take a dowel rod and I'm gonna hot glue that to the center portion of my beads. And I'm going to put a lot of hot glue on there. I'm gonna push it to where it's connected to my beads. Once that dries, let it dry, let it set. I'm going to add some hot glue to the back of my beads as well. And then I'm gonna hot glue the dowel rod to the base. I'm gonna start by putting a little bit of hot glue and then I'm gonna build it up. I'm actually gonna add quite a bit more hot glue, making sure I hold on to it until it has a chance to set. Now, once all that is done, I'm gonna spray the entire piece with 2 coats of a matte black spray paint. Now, for the first 2 days that I had this, everything was fine. They stood up great, everything was great. But by like the 2nd and 3rd day when I started to take pictures, one of them just wasn't standing up. So the picture I have to show you is of the smaller one because the smaller one is great. So if you do this project, make sure you use a little bit more wire or maybe more of a heavy duty wire. Hey guys, I'm Liz and you're watching my second DIY channel where I post daily DIY videos. You may be familiar with my main channel, Liz Fenwick DIY, but I'm glad that you found me over here on my second channel. Make sure that you're subscribed so you just get notified every day when I post our daily DIY video.